Welcome back to the next instalment of the SADDO podcast, the Sitcom Archive Deep Dive Overdrive. I am one of your co-hosts, Alison Barton-Simmons.
Now then. Oh, no, shit, that's a bit too Jimmy Savile, isn't it? I was going for Fred Truman and I've gone Jimmy Savile. I am your other co-host, Eggs Benedict.
There we go, that's better.
Yeah. Now then, rattle, jewelry.
Just double down on it, Ben.
You're not allowed it's a shame you're not allowed to do them. Like, I used to do a good Rolf as well, and you can't do him anymore, can you?
Can't. You're not allowed.
Can you tell what it is yet? Specialising in paedophile...
Just draw a line. We'll draw a line there.
Yeah, sorry, I've subverted the whole thing already. Sorry, carry on.
We shall revisit what is now the third episode of the 1970s classic sitcom of Fawlty Towers.
Yep, we're on series 1, which was 1975.
We're on episode 3, The Wedding Party. I did enjoy this episode, despite the fact that I'm not a massive fan of sort of pratfalls and slapstick. But this episode for me, there was lots going on, lots of toing and froing, and it was very sort of lots of confusion, and people not knowing what's going on, which is quite shocking, isn't it, for the Fawlty Towers?
Yeah, it was, to me, it was ramped up to 11 in this one, in terms of like misunderstandings and slapstick and stuff. It's actually not one of my favourites of the 12 episode run, because it's almost so incredulous. But I know, I mean, you're supposed to think this is beyond what a reasonable person would do. I know that. Because he's not a reasonable person, Basil Fawlty, is he?
Did you think in this episode, when looking at Fawlty in this episode, I can almost see the mental decline, the slide into mania from the first episode to now. He just felt like it was being ramped up, and he just looked, I think, like he was getting there.
I think it might be because of all the sexual stuff. Don't think he can handle anything sexual. Okay. I think it's almost like it triggers him.
Oh, he was triggered.
He was very triggered, yeah.
He was very triggered.
I've come round to your way of looking at things already. I feel very sorry for him from time to time.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a monster as well, but anyway, we'll get stuck into the...
We'll get to that. Absolutely we will, yeah. The start of this episode, just to mention the sign outside the hotel, we've got a wonky W in this episode. So obviously the leading up towards all the sort of letters hanging off and changing around. So this episode... The infamous sign, it's a wonky W.
Yeah, I didn't notice. Do you know why? Because I watched it on Daily Motion, where clearly to get around copyright, they've reversed the picture.
Oh, right.
So it's flipped, so all the credits were like back to front. So the sign was back to front. But all that...
How strange.
I know, I think they do it to avoid copyright detection or something, but it was really weird watching it because like the set was the wrong way around, like the desk was on the right-hand side.
Strangest thing.
I know, it was really weird to get... You're so used to seeing that iconic set, you know, the desk on the left and the dining room on the right. But yeah, so I didn't even notice the sign this week. But before we get stuck into the episode proper, post-sign, are you going to do a little game for us this week?
I am going to do a little game for us this week. It's in the sort of vein of Call My Bluff, where I give you a statement with 3 possible answers or outcomes, and you need to identify which one is the actual truth from that list.
So much like we did last week, although for us it was about 2 months ago, because we haven't recorded an episode in that long.
So yeah, I feel a bit rusty. But I've got a couple prepared for you, Ben. So shall we give it a go?
Yeah, I'm ready. Hit me with it.
Well, let's have a game of Call My Bluff. Is what I say true, or maybe it's duff? It's Fawlty Towers, Call My Bluff, so play along. It's time for Fawlty Towers, Call My Bluff.
All right then, so number 1. Dennis Wilson was the British pianist, composer, arranger and conductor, born in the 1920s in Leicester, who composed the theme tune to Fawlty Towers. And he also composed the themes for other TV shows. Can you identify from this list which ones are correctly composed by Mr. Wilson and which one wasn't?
So all of them are, apart from one?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so you have Steptoe and Son, Butterflies, and Marriage Lines.
And Marriage Lines is the only one that doesn't automatically start playing in my head. Steptoe and Son is obviously... I can imagine someone doing a Cockney walk. Did a Lambeth walk.
Yeah.
What's the second one?
Butterflies.
Butterfly. Life is like a butterfly.
That's the one.
It's a bit twee, that one, isn't it? But the Faulty Towers theme is a bit twee as well.
Yeah.
I thought it was like a piece of classical music from like last century, century before last.
What, like a well-known track?
Standard or something, yeah.
Track.
Yeah. Mozart used to put out a lot of tracks. What are you listening to? Bach's third track.
It's the remix, though. You won't have heard it.
Yeah. I was like, that's classic trigger joke in Fools and Horses. It's the karaoke version. I'm going to go. I think Butterflies was written by this dude. And
okay.
So it's either Marriage Lines or it's Steptoe and Son. I think Steptoe and Son wasn't him. I'm going to say Steptoe and Son.
Incorrect. It was Butterflies.
Oh, well, totally wrong then. Yeah, Butterflies is very twee, though. Yeah, I don't like it.
Okay. Number 2. In May 2001, Faulty was voted number 2 in a list of 100 greatest characters of all time.
Okay.
This was a poll that was conducted by Channel 4. So from this list, can you identify which one was voted number 1?
Ian Beale.
Not on the list.
Okay, all right, go on. Is this comedy characters or just characters?
Comedy characters.
Okay.
Okay. So you've got, from a list of Del Boy, Edmund Blackadder, or Homer Simpson.
Oh, well, I would have said Del Boy if I thought it was just going to be British. Is this a British poll or a...
It seemed to be a international list.
Well, I'm going to go Homer then.
It was Homer. I was quite shocked at that.
Yeah. And, well, Edmund is Blackadder really, really popular stateside? I mean, I'm sure it's known. But...
I don't know, but it was by Channel 4, so it's obviously a British poll including international characters, but yeah. I just thought that if it was Channel 4, it would have been... I think it's Del Boy. Is Del Boy not just the... Oh, it should have been. Pork pie.
Should have been Desmond. Pork pie, yeah. Del Boy. Did you see that cringeworthy video David Jason did for the England team the other day?
No.
Coming out of a lock-up garage, wishing them well.
No.
Without John Sullivan's brilliant scripts, David Jason is really on a hide into nothing. Yeah, it was just really cringeworthy.
Oh, no.
And in fact, he probably put the mockers on the England team by doing it. I think we should blame him.
Yeah, just hex them.
Yeah.
That's why they didn't win. Oh, well done. Yeah, 1 point.
Is there another one, or is there only 2?
Number 3. I've got another one.
Oh, great, okay.
So Faulty, in this episode that we've just watched, talks about the film How to Murder Your Wife when referring to Sybil.
Yes.
When he's talking to the Major in the bar, in the hotel. This 1965 film starred Jack Lemmon.
Okay.
But there's also a British actor that stars alongside him in this film. Can you identify which one from this list of 3? So we've got Eric Sykes.
Yeah.
Terry Thomas.
I knew Terry Thomas would come up there somehow.
Leslie Phillips. So which of those 3 British actors starred alongside Jack Lemmon in How to Murder Your Wife?
Well, it sounds like the type of film that should have a cad in it. So Terry Thomas would be a shoo-in for that. However, Leslie Phillips is just... Leslie Phillips and Terry Thomas are just 2 different sides of the same 50p piece, really.
Yeah, that's true.
Eric Sykes I don't even know that much about. I'm showing my youth there, I suppose. But I think Terry Thomas is a stooge because you would have thrown him in. Because he's one of our favourite little Easter eggs.
He is, yeah.
So I'm going to go Eric Sykes.
He's Terry Thomas!
It's not, is it?
Yes.
Oh, God.
I thought it was so obvious that it would be... I'd be able to trip you up with that one.
Oh, well, you did.
He's like a... I was going to say a bad penny, but he's not really, is he? But he keeps turning up. He no matter what we do, Terry Thomas just, shows his face.
Yeah. Well, we're not going to deep dive Dastardly and Muttley next. Who, of course, Dick Dastardly was based on Terry Thomas.
Exactly. So, he just turns up all the time. But, I quite like that. So, well done. You got 1 out of 3.
1 out of 3. I can't remember what you got in mine. You probably beat me, but it was so long ago for us.
I was going to say I probably got none.
It was so long ago for us, I don't remember. So we'll find out when we release this and listen to it back. Oh, well, I don't mind that. It's a game of chance, isn't it? It's a game of chance.
Of course it is. Of course it is. But well done. Well done for trying.
Well, let's have a game of Call My Bluff. Is what I say true or maybe it's duff? It's Faulty Towers, Call My Bluff, so play along. It's time for Faulty Towers, Call My Bluff.
So we'll get stuck into this episode, but just a quick reminder, you can watch these episodes of Faulty Towers on places like BritBox. It's recently been shown on the BBC, hasn't it? It's actually been replayed on primetime BBC.
Has it really?
Yeah, it's been on.
I don't tend to watch normal telly, but it's on the iPlayer, definitely.
It was on like 8:30 at night, just primetime BBC One, and I think loads of people were tweeting about it because I monitor the keywords.
Yeah.
But yeah, also, or you could watch it on YouTube or Dailymotion in reverse.
I still find that so weird.
Yeah, if you listen to Faulty in reverse, it's a satanic message for you.
Yes. How to murder your wife. Just gives you all the tips.
Okay, let's get stuck into this one then. So it's Series 1, Episode 3, The Wedding Party.
So this episode opens up in the infamous hotel bar with Sybil laughing like a seal. So I was already triggered within the first few seconds of this episode. I don't know about you, Ben, but she really has got a honking seal of a laugh.
She has, yeah. There's no
Sybil.
denying it.
Mm.
Yes, I figured that would trigger you a little bit, Sybil's laugh. It's because Basil describes it as a machine gunning a seal.
Yeah, I love that, definitely.
It's a good line, yeah.
And this whole scene irritates me from start to finish because, and I know it's out of context, so you don't know what's gone on before because Basil could have just been an arsehole all day and done no work. And the minute that she sat down, he's twittering round her. But as an audience, you tend to watch it and assume that she's just sat about flirting with the guests while Basil gets on with all the work.
I've took a different take from it. Maybe
I've
got headcanon going on. I think she is making a show of herself by flirting with this chap.
Yeah.
Purely because of the way that the French guest, Mrs. Penoir, she's clearly got a thing for Basil and she's heavily flirting with Basil. And Basil is just awkward with it. But I think Sybil is jealous. I think because she does make a catty remark, doesn't she? I think she's acting up in sort of retaliation because she's insecure deep down.
About Mrs. Penoir, the antique dealer. She's very handsy, isn't she? She's all over Basil whenever she can, which really does fluster Basil. You can see him getting a bit wound up and a bit hot under the collar.
I must congratulate you. I had no idea how charming Dorothy was.
Oh, enchanté. May I ask, did you find anything of interest?
A few pieces I like very much. And one, I had to have it.
Ah, formidable. I'm so pleased.
Yeah.
But and we see later on in this episode, his response to that just makes him look really guilty. If he just chilled out a bit, it would be all right. But he makes it worse by acting really guilty.
I feel sorry for him because he's clearly uncomfortable and she is a pain in the arse. There's no doubt about it. She's always seems half pissed. She's ridiculously flirty and sort of demonstrative and ostentatious in a, over the top way.
Yeah. And
then even when Basil is then in the lobby, bloody Miss Tibbs and Miss Gatsby are all over him as well, touching him.
Yeah. He can't get away from it, can he? He can't get away from it. I thought this scene as well, it really highlighted how abrasive their relationship is, Basil and Sybil.
Yeah.
There never seems to be just any honesty or being upfront or even like Basil going to Sybil and saying, God, this French woman won't keep her hands off me. She's driving me mad.
Yeah, as you would. If it happened in either of our marriages, we'd just tell.
It diffused the situation, yeah. But he just seems to stoke the fire by just tipping more fuel on it by being weird about it.
Yeah.
In 1918. Did you ever see that film How to Murder Your Wife? How to Murder Your Wife? Yeah, it's awfully good. I saw it 6 times. Very funny.
So yeah, the old ladies catch him in the reception, and they're all panicking about him and worrying about him.
They think he's got taller.
Yeah.
Do you think that those Harry Enfield characters, the wibbly wobbly old ladies, young man? Oh, young man.
Young man.
Do you think they were based on them too?
Could be.
They seem like almost like a bit, not obsessed, but
yeah, I think they are. They do. They mither him. They mither him to death. They really do. And then Polly and this boyfriend that we've never heard of before, I don't think.
Yeah.
Come into the hotel, which is a very sort of overtly sexual, strange scene, I thought.
Yeah.
She goes behind the bar to find this book that she needs to retrieve to give back to her boyfriend. And I was a bit flustered when she leant over the reception desk and he grabbed her by the vest top and pulled her.
Yeah.
And all I could think was, oh my God, he must have just seen her boobs.
Probably, because she was a bit sans bras, wasn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was something that I just thought you wouldn't see that on TV today. There wouldn't be something so an overtly normal situation. You wouldn't have something like that without there being some reference to it. And there was no reference to it really.
No.
So they have a massive kiss, and then Faulty comes like blustering back in, wondering what kind of place do you think this is? A massage parlour. So he obviously did notice that there was obviously something going on at the reception desk, and Polly's quite just sort of shrugs it off really.
Yeah, Basil puts down her art again, which I don't like, but I think that's a recurring thing. And obviously that's the setup to the joke that then follows when he answers the phone, because he's looking at some nudie ladies, isn't he? but Polly's drawn.
Hello, Faulty Titties.
Faulty Titties.
Hello, Faulty Titties, which is funny. Which is
brilliant. It's brilliant. And it's Audrey on the phone whose husband has left her again, which then Faulty he tries to sort of be a bit compassionate, but he's not really, is he? He don't really give a shit.
No, I don't think he's hiding it at all, really.
No.
Oh, he's done it again, has he? Oh, okay. It's not Basil's night because that other sexually liberal couple rock up.
They do. The Bruces. They're not really the Bruces, but they call themselves the Bruces.
Yeah. It's
Jean and Alan, who are, we find out later, are friends of Polly. So they arrive at the hotel in order to try and get a double room. And this highlighted, because you think sort of like the 70s, it's not that far away, but obviously times were very different. You couldn't just rock up to a hotel as a couple not married and get a double room in order to do what you wanted. Hotels were quite specific about who could have the rooms if it had a double bed.
I don't know. I mean, not having been an adult trying to book a weekend away in the 70s for a bit of like premarital nookie, I wouldn't know. But there was clearly two different approaches on show, Sybil's and Basil's, because when Sybil takes over, she doesn't give a shit.
Yeah.
So whether it was de rigueur for people to react like Basil did, or it was just a Basil thing, a old fuddy-duddy attitude, I don't know.
I think it was something. Well, the fact that they said that they only had one double, I don't know whether they only had one double bed left, or one double bed in the whole of the hotel, and everything else was like twin beds. I don't know. But
maybe that's why Basil and Sybil sleeping single beds.
Sleeping single beds. Oh dear me. So yeah, there's lots of like flirting and bum pinching and giggling going on. And it turns out eventually that they're not the Bruces, they're not a married couple, because Jean spots a letter behind the reception that's addressed to her with a different name that's not Mrs. Bruce. So they sort of like, oh, we've let the cat out of the bag here.
Yeah.
And then Sybil comes along and sorts them out with a room and just bypasses Basil and his neuroses. Is neuroses a word?
Neuroses?
Neuroses, there we go, not neuroses.
That sounds like a tablet that you
neuroses.
Like Gaviscon. Got any neuroses? Oh, I've got a blinder behind the eyes.
Neuroses. Oh dear me.
You're a naughty boy!
So Yeah, Faulty does try to tell them, though, that it's against the law. It's against English law to let them have a double room together, which did tickle me.
But then again, you know, the amount of fucking things that were against the law in the 70s and 80s, I mean, I know I'm in danger of getting political, but when you think about, because I've just been watching, what's it called?
It's a Sin.
It's a Sin, yeah, and it's a really good show.
It's wonderful.
Thatcher's government banned any reference to homosexuality in libraries and in classrooms and stuff. Was it Section 27? Can't remember what it was called.
28.
28?
Yeah.
Close enough. I wonder what 27 was.
I'm going to find out.
27 would have been something even worse. There's not much that they could do worse, really. But, yeah. And you think, well, that was law, and it was only, like, less than 40 years ago.
Not long since, yeah.
So who knows? Maybe at one time or another you did have to prove that you were married to get a double room.
Yeah, to get a hotel room with a double bed in.
Yeah.
Mrs. Pemois, the French antique dealer, then sort of swans into the reception, all handsy. Mrs. Pemois swans into the reception area while the Bruces, who are not really the Bruces, get 2 singles. And Alan says, if that's all right with the police, which did make me laugh, because obviously he's taking the mickey now out of Faulty. Faulty ends up in the back office where Manuel appears at the window. So we've not seen Manuel yet, and we're obviously used to seeing Manuel in his whites. But he turns up at the window in, and I will be mentioning this in Fashion Corner.
I bet.
Oh, this like royal blue suit, his hair slicked back. He's obviously ready for going doing something, and we find out it's his birthday. It's his birthday, and he's looking forward to his time off to go and do what he pleases for the evening. But he just wanted to stop off and thank Mr. Faulty for his birthday present of an umbrella.
Mm-hmm.
And just to say good night. But Faulty's just not having any. He just wants to shoo him out of there. He's not bothered. He's not interested. He's like, yeah, no problem. Off you go. I thought you'd already gone.
Because he's got like a pre-prepared speech that he wants to deliver, hasn't he?
He does. Poor Manuel.
He just can't get it out because Basil. Well, he turns violent before the end, which is a bit over the top, actually.
It is, yeah.
I mean, I know there's a lot of violence perpetrated on Manuel, but there didn't seem to be any even build-up. Usually, he's been annoying Basil for a while before he gets a slap or a...
Yeah, but he does give him a bit of a smack, doesn't he? Yeah. And then, however, Manuel ends up taking the guests' luggage up to the room, despite the fact that he's supposed to be going off for his birthday.
Yeah.
He ends up working, which often happens, doesn't it? So Polly meets the Bruces on the stairs, and we find out that Jean and Alan are friends of Polly's that are here at the hotel for a wedding that they're all attending.
Yeah, then they have a very middle-class catch-up chat, don't they? It's all very jolly hockey sticks, and I don't know, it seemed a bit forced to me, but...
Yes.
Well, maybe because it's just not the way I ever catch up with friends.
No. On the stairs, they have a bit of a discussion about the fact that Alan doesn't have any batteries for his razor, and asks Polly if she can direct him anywhere to pick up some batteries. And Polly suggests the chemist might be a good idea, a good starting point, which then is the starting point of a very odd conversation between Alan and Basil Faulty. Yes.
Well, he just presumes off the bat, doesn't he, that he wants a chemist because he needs some nodders.
Yes. So initially we're thinking that Faulty assumes that this guy wants condoms. After already saying you can't have a double bed because you're not married, he's now sort of putting the blockers on the fact that this guy might want condoms, which then escalates very quickly into, no, I want some batteries, and then Basil assuming that he's obviously after them for some kind of weird kinky sex dildo.
Well, I only want some batteries. I don't believe it. What? Batteries, huh? You know something? You disgust me. I know what people like you get up to, and I think it's disgusting. What are you talking about? I want some batteries for my electric razor. I want to shave. Oh, yes? Yes, I haven't shaved today. Look, see? Electric razor, huh? Right. Well, that's what I was referring to when I said it was disgusting. It is, of course, disgusting that you haven't shaved, but understandable. I mean, sometimes I don't shave either, and that's disgusting too. So I'm going to send up to your room straight away. Thank you so much. Good night.
Well, maybe it's those toothbrushes that we discovered from The Good Life in Series 1. The maybe vibrator toothbrushes.
Is that what Faulty was thinking?
John Howard Davis has brought them from from The Good Life into Faulty Towers.
There was a line that Faulty came out with when he tells Alan that the chemists are shut, you can't get these batteries from anywhere, so and he says, a bit of a blow, I imagine, which made me laugh a lot.
Yeah. I don't know if that was deliberate or not.
Probably not, but I picked up on it.
What I did pick up on is the way that people in the 70s used to say the word disgusting. Because I think disgusting is pretty much how people say it now. Some people turn the G into a C. Disgusting. Kind of sound. Yeah. But it was more of a diz with a Z sound.
Disgusting.
And it was delivered in this sort of disgusting kind of way.
Yeah.
And even Basil says it several times in one sentence where it's like, well, it's disgusting when I don't shave and it's disgusting that you haven't shaved. And then later on, I think the one of the guests, I don't know if it was Jean or her mother, says it in exactly the same way. And I think it's just of its time, slightly different pronunciation that you sometimes see and that we pick up on when we're looking at these old shows, that some words, the words themselves and the meanings haven't changed, although sometimes the meanings do change. For example, faulty twats, you wonder how he ever got away with that. Flowery twats. But that's because it was a different meaning at the time, but we'll come on to that in that episode. But in this case, I just think that the pronunciation's changed. It's interesting that you wouldn't get that now. If someone said to you, that's disgusting, you just think, oh, get over yourself. Pretentious bastard, wouldn't you? Yeah.
It's got more of an effect, I think, hasn't it, saying it like that?
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
We see them next up in the bedroom, in the twin beds that we've mentioned previously, the single beds. Faulty's reading Jaws.
Yeah.
And Sybil's eating chocolates, smoking in bed, reading a magazine. I almost felt quite claustrophobic at the thought of being in that bedroom and Sybil smoking and that room just filling. I know it's of a time. I know that's what used to happen. I remember times when that used to happen. It's not like it's something I've never even experienced, but the thought of it now just made me feel quite. I couldn't catch my breath.
Yeah, same. It took me back to going on chartered flights in the early 90s.
God, yeah.
And you'd be like, my dad was a smoker, so we'd all sit at the back with the smokers. It was horrible.
Yeah.
You couldn't escape.
But it's just one big metal tube that's just full of smoke.
Yeah.
It's crazy, isn't it, when you think about it?
Yeah. It's even crazier when you think that your parents are making their entire family sit in the smoking section because they can't go 9 hours without ciggy. Yeah. Or as my dad declared when he arrived in Washington one time, I could murder a fag. It didn't go down well. You know, it means a totally different thing here, mate. Don't be saying that.
I remember being on a flight once with my mum and dad, and a long-haul flight, and the guy in front of me just getting on the plane and pushing his seat right back into, like, the reclined position. Yeah. So my mum just sat for however many hours, just chain tabbing, just blowing smoke through the gap between the two seats, just directly onto the guy.
As revenge.
Yeah, he never said anything. Sybil, as well as smoking and eating chocolates and reading her magazine, was laughing along with whatever was in the magazine as well. And I must admit, it really it triggered me. I think I've got misophonia, you know, like where noises get you irritated. I can get really irritated quite easily by random noise, and that I could feel it. It was like getting to me. I do really sympathise with Faulty.
I just find it quite funny, her laugh.
Do you?
Hyena laugh. Yeah. And also that, ooh, I know, when she's on the phone. I quite like it. It's kind of iconic.
It is, but I just, irritated.
She's your Tom Good.
She is. I think she is.
Sybil's hair in bed is still all piled high, even though she's in bed smoking and reading a book.
Did she take a piece of it off? Did she take a piece of her hair off, though, at one point? I'm sure I saw her with a piece of hair in her hand as well.
Is that the bit that looks like bird shit in her head?
Yeah.
That white bit, and she just took it off?
I think so. It's like a hairpiece, which was obviously, that was de rigueur at the time. You had a hairpiece just to make it look like your hair was different.
Never mind what Sybil's reading, though. Basil's reading Jaws. I mean...
He is.
How do you get any excitement? I mean, the movie's all tension, isn't it? And the book must have been based on the movie rather than the other way around, which is not normal.
I've no idea, actually.
How do you get the tension when you're reading it?
It just says, duh, duh. Duh, 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 duh. It does.
And it's built it up by having every duh on a different page. You know, fuck me.
Just getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
And then it's just a picture of the shark's mouth. and then you carry on reading.
Oh.
So yeah, I don't know. I don't know which came first.
Yeah. Cleese didn't mention it in his DVD commentary as to why.
Ah, right. Okay.
But I'd love to know why.
There must have been a specific knowing how they wrote and how long they spent and the effort that they put into each episode. There must have been a specific reason for choosing that book.
Yeah. I don't know.
I am from Barcelona.
The doorbell goes randomly, and I think one of the clocks showed that it was sort of something like around 11 o'clock, which would have been, you know that Fawlty would have seen this as a nuisance, the doorbell going when everybody's in bed. There's no such thing as like a late, getting into your hotel late. It's just like you're in or you're out.
Yeah.
So he has to go downstairs to go and see who it is. And behind the door, it's the handsy Mrs. Penoir again. She's just got back from a night on the town. And she's, handsy, flirty, drunk.
Yeah.
But it all gets a bit weird quite quickly. She drops a bag and both her and Fawlty go to pick it up, and then she ends up sat on his back.
Yeah, that was weird. Why did she sit in his back? But Fawlty's actually been, because he answers the door in a foul mood, but as soon as he realises it's her, he's once again very awkward and chivalrous and...
Yes.
It's only whatever the time was. He wasn't really...
Yeah.
All of a sudden he changed tune, but... I don't know why this impatient man didn't lose his shit with this infuriating woman, to be honest.
Yes. Yeah, and he's focusing on the fact that I think the Bruce is obviously then walking, Alan and Jean walking around the same time and see the whole sort of thing that's going on in the reception. And when he tries to, it's manic Fawlty at his best, trying to explain it away. And it's just making it worse. He's just making the hole even bigger by explaining.
He sounds almost like a horse racing commentator the way he delivers it, doesn't he?
Yeah.
I hope Mrs. Fawlty appreciates how lucky she is.
Well, I think probably not, in fact. But, sorry, please. Sorry, I beg your pardon. Let me... sorry. There you are. Okay, I'm awfully sorry. No, it's quite extraordinary. The front doorbell went just a moment or two ago, and I thought to myself, I expect that'll be Alan, and so down I go, and lo and behold, it's not true at all. It's Mrs. Penoir. Who met Alan, and this is Mrs. Penoir. She's an antique dealer, she deals in antiques. She's not frightfully old or anything. So I let her in just 10 seconds. Hardly time to say good evening. In she comes, stops and down I go, down she goes. There you are. Bless my soul. It's going, golly, is that the time? My goodness, I was thinking it was 10:15. My God, when I better get to bed, I can't stand around talking all night. Can't get an early night. Bye. Sorry.
So Fawlty heads back to bed after all that, and he tells Sybil that it's your two, it's Jean and Alan, and he's busy tutting, trying to show sort of like mock outrage at the fact that they've come in even later, and he doesn't even mention Mrs. Penoir at this stage.
Yeah.
Who begins then shouting in French through the walls.
Bonne nuit, Monsieur Fawlty. What a stupid cow, she's waking up all the other guests.
She's drunk. She's French and drunk.
I suppose
just, by now, he's a nervous wreck at this point now, Fawlty. He's panicking in case Sybil finds out about the innocent fracas with Mrs. Penoir in the reception area. And he goes out into the corridor to sort of sort it out, and there's nobody there. However, then comes along Manuel. He's covered in streamers, he's drunk, he's had a right good birthday party bash. I don't know, who's he been with, I wonder who he's been with on his birthday.
Probably.
Yeah.
They just arrived in separate cabs, that's all.
Yeah. Poor Manuel, though, obviously, he's had such a good birthday bash that by the time he's serving breakfast the following morning, he is horrendously hungover.
He is, but Mrs. Penoir, who he was on the ale with...
Oh, bright as a button.
Yeah. I wonder what he was drinking compared to her. He was on the ouzo or the... She was just having a couple of Baileys or something.
Bet she was, just throwing it over her shoulder and pretending. So he's trying to serve the guests and feeling absolutely rotten. Fawlty and Manuel end up on the floor in some kind of sexual twist.
Yeah.
And it's where, I think it's Jean that says it about disgusting.
Disgusting!
Yeah, on the floor in the middle of all the guests having the breakfast. Mr. and Mrs. Lloyd arrive next. They're our next guests that arrive, which turn out to be Jean's mum and Philip, her stepdad, who are also going along to this wedding with Alan and Jean.
And Polly, presumably.
And Polly as well, we think, yes, and her boyfriend, who the vest puller.
The vest, yeah. We didn't actually get his name, did we?
I think I might have made a note somewhere of his name because Jean asks Polly, is such a body coming?
Oh, okay.
And I think it is somewhere. We do have a name for him. I can't quite think off the top of my head. And now it sort of starts. There's a great deal of miscommunication, misunderstanding, doors opening and shutting, people hiding, general faultiness about this next couple of scenes, which just adds to the confusion and adds to Faulty's mania and panic, and it just goes all horribly wrong for Faulty. So he walks in with the couple's cases and finds Jean hugging Philip, who's her stepdad. Faulty at this stage is thinking, oh my God, this guy's just arrived. She's supposed to be with that other guy who is some sex pest. And now she's hugging this other man. And he gets all confused and flustered.
But what I don't get is why, and I know it's for the comedy, but why, realistically, would Basil try and cover for her?
Yes.
Because then he stops, was it the wife?
The wife, Mrs. Lloyd, from going into the room so that she doesn't catch what he thinks is her husband with a younger woman.
Yeah. It's why get involved, Basil? But there you go.
Yeah. If he just kept his nose out, it would have all just sorted itself out because there wasn't really a problem. So yeah, she's being dragged around by Faulty so that she doesn't walk in on her husband. Faulty does that usual thing of faking a leg pain from the war.
Yeah.
And then shows him into the kitchen where Manuel's in a hamper in the corner. He's got just his legs hanging out of his hamper.
Yeah. Well, you got to sleep it off somewhere, haven't you?
That's what I don't blame him. Faulty then sees Jean in reception, and Polly goes up to Mr. Lloyd's room now, to Mr. and Mrs. Lloyd's room. Now, Polly obviously is friends with Jean and knows the family really well. So she goes up with some sandwiches for the couple. Faulty walks in again, and now Mr. Lloyd is hugging Polly. And at no point did Faulty just sort of assume, right, what's going on here? They must know each other. Surely, yeah. I would be thinking, these people must know each other.
This is what gets me about this episode. It stretches that incredulousness because
yes.
he's not walked in on them doing all the positions of the Kama Sutra.
No,
they're just hugging, people do. And the conclusions he arrives at. Is
he so sexually repressed that everything that happens in the world ever in front of Faulty, he assumes there's some kind of sexual element because he's so repressed, perhaps?
I think perhaps that's it.
He sees sex everywhere.
You bastard!
But the next part of this series of misunderstandings is the one where I've got a slight bit of sympathy for Basil. Because, you know, while Polly's trying her new frock on, and
yes,
at the same time as Alan's making all these sort of grunts and groans of appreciation from the massage he's receiving from Jean.
Yep.
Basil's in the corridor and he sees Polly leave and just puts two and two together. And it's at that point you think, actually, I can understand.
Yeah.
On this occasion.
Yes. When Polly comes out and she's tucking all the uniform back in.
Yeah, but
you could perhaps draw the conclusion from that, yes.
Yeah, but he's clearly got it on the mind. But the scene then where he's trying to puzzle it all out in his own head in the hallway is very well delivered by him, where he's sort of
brilliant.
And then he runs off. You know, it's really good, that.
At some point soon, though, Sybil explains the misunderstanding to Faulty and all becomes clear. She obviously knows what's what, who's related to who's allowed to cuddle who, and it'd be all right.
Yeah.
And Faulty says, what have I done?
Well, Basil's puzzling it out in his head again. He's going, you can see his eyes going, and he's almost like he's just told Polly he wants to see her in reception in 1 minute in a hat and coat, which is the weirdest way I've ever heard of giving someone a P45.
He's gonna sack her. He wants all the Lloyd family to get out, and what have I done? But then he turns it and says, why didn't you tell me? You half-wit.
Yeah, very brave.
So,
yeah.
And he tries to get Sybil to go and sort out the mess because he doesn't want to be faced with all these people again.
Yeah.
Gaslighting at its best.
Yes, it was a bit. But it was uncharacteristically brave of him. And she's reasonable. She's just saying, no, it's your mess, you sort it out.
Later on that evening, they're back in the reception and Mrs. Penoir pops in again and asks Faulty to put the Chopin back on the little tape recorder because she finds it so romantic. And again, she's handsy and flirty. Very
She's all
smiley.
over him like a cheap suit,
She is.
isn't she? And he's just... Do you know who I think she looks like a bit?
Who?
Do you know Rebecca Front?
Yes. Oh, that's a good shout.
Yeah. She's got definitely a look of Rebecca Front.
Yeah.
She wasn't French. She's a Scottish actress, and she had a voice coach.
It was quite a good sort of
Yeah.
English voice, French accent.
Yeah. I think she did. I mean, she was an annoying character. But she performed the role well. Yeah.
Believable. Very believable. She even says to Fawlty at this stage, though, don't look so bashful, I won't try and sit on you again.
Yeah. A patter's rotten, isn't it? A patter is rotten.
Yes.
She's, I think she definitely fancies a bit of Basil.
I think so. She doesn't leave him alone, does she?
No.
And she even, at this stage, invites him up to her bedroom to fix the window, which just sounds like a line, doesn't it? What a line.
Yeah.
So he goes into a room, and he always seems to end up trapped like an animal every time she's around. She pins herself against the door to stop him going.
She actually says to him in the room, when there's a breeze in there, she says, I shall sleep au naturel tonight. And I thought, bloody hell, you are not leaving. There's no subtlety there anymore, is there?
No,
really?
She's a bit of a pest, isn't she? He gets a twinge from his old leg wound as well at this stage.
Bit of shrapnel.
Yeah, I don't think it was anything to do with his leg though, the twinge.
He double bolts his bedroom door when he gets in it.
Yeah, this is another strange scene when he's in the bedroom and trying to sort of fend off Mrs. Penoir. But then it's Sybil that's actually behind the door saying, let me in. And he's just saying, no, my wife's going to find out. And he's just making it even worse. He's making it just a disaster zone, really.
But then she says, well, this is your wife.
Oh, God.
And he opens it up. And his immediate, response, I suppose he's thinking on his feet. He's like, oh, my God, what a terrible dream.
Oh, dear me. Sybil at this point is concerned because she thinks that there's a burglar downstairs as well, so sends Fawlty to go and investigate and sort it out. It turns out, as you could have predicted from 10,000 miles away, that it's Manuel, and Fawlty cracks him with a pan.
With the wrong saucepan, as we now know. Poor Andrew Sachs.
Was that the incident with the pan where he actually hurts him?
John Thingy Davies, Howard John Howard Davies had labelled the pan, but in the darkness, Cleese just couldn't see it. And he grabbed the wrong one and clocked him with a proper pan, and he had concussion basically. Yeah,
I'm not surprised. So the Lloyds again, as you know, as you would expect, arrive at the same time back from the wedding, and see Fawlty in just his shirt and underpants, and Manuel once again face down on the floor. And that's where the episode finishes.
Well, they think he's prone boning Manuel on the floor. And then they weirdly announce, we've been to a wedding.
And that's it. And then it's like end scene.
Yeah, it was just such a strange line. I thought that would have been a better time for her to have been disgusted.
Yeah.
But there you go.
So lots of slapstick, which I'm not usually a massive fan of. But I found it quite, not charming, but I think it's Fawlty at its misunderstanding best.
Yes, it is. It's very much classic. What Fawlty Towers is known for.
Exactly.
I think
exactly.
Parts of the episode that I really liked, one that you didn't mention actually, which was that scene with the Major when he's talking to the Major in the early evening and Mrs. Fawlty's gone to look after her friend. And the Major says, she's a fine woman, Mrs. Fawlty. And Basil says, no, I wouldn't say that. And then the Major just goes, no, neither would I. I love that
Also,
line.
you do kind of feel that perhaps Fawlty has got a bit of an ally in the Major.
Yeah, but it was like he was making, the Major was just making a cursory effort to be complimentary about the guy's wife, and then Basil just didn't give a shit, so the Major stopped giving a shit as well. I really like that little scene. Yeah, so that's the episode. Lots and lots and lots of peripheral characters for you to examine their clothes and their wedding suits and Polly's pokey nipples and stuff like that. So let's have a little trip over to Fashion Corner.
Well, it's time to take a little trip to the place that long ago was hip. It's Fashion Corner, it's Fashion Corner, it's Fashion Corner, Fashion Corner.
I've got Polly's boyfriend's name here as well, it was Richard Turner. He got a full name despite the fact that he was only in it very, very minutely. Okay. So yes, I'm going to start Fashion Corner with Richard Turner because of his atomic mustard V-neck top and blue denim flares, which were so striking when he enters with Polly. He looked like the loading screen from a ZX Spectrum. It was so sort of stark, the two bright colours. And alongside that, Polly with, I kind of say, a sage green vest top with wonderful boobs that they didn't move at all. She was obviously braless, and a sage green vest and matching skirt, which obviously mid-70s, quite a muted tone that sort of was of that time. Yeah. But just looked cool. She just looked fab, because we often see her just in a work garb. It was quite nice to see her just out and about doing her own thing. Mrs. Pemoir has in one of the earlier scenes, it's like a black and red chiffon batwing dress, which is obviously that was obviously de rigueur in the 70s. But then later on I noticed that there's lots of like stripes on it as well, like biscuit coloured browns, rusts. A really beautiful dress. Very Parisienne, perhaps. She was obviously supposed to be someone with style and taste and class, and I think her outfit in that scene did show that. Sybil, in the earlier scenes as well, is in like a black cocktail dress with, I think, what they call like a cold shoulder. So you've got like the shoulders of the dress missing and just your bare shoulders showing, with like a red sparkly corsage, which I thought was quite, for someone that's like running a hotel and busy. I'm amazed at how much like she dresses up for the role, for the job of being a hotelier. She's sort of very dressed up to the nines, really.
Although, having said that, Basil was cravatted, wasn't he? This
maybe they just made an effort back then, because obviously they don't have a uniform, do they, for the hotel? But they do seem to be. They put the effort in of an evening. Yeah,
it's only really Polly and Manuel who have the uniform, isn't it?
Yeah. Jean's tangerine halter neck sundress when she arrives, I think at the hotel, or it's while she's in the room upstairs. That's a really beautiful one, just like a very flat, matte coloured tangerine dress. Of its time, I think, but wouldn't seem out of place now, I don't think, that style of dress. I think you could get away with that now. Mrs. Pemoir, when she goes down to breakfast after a night on the tiles, in a red, white and blue striped dress. Very French. I looked at that and immediately thought, oh, the tricolour, French flag.
Oh yeah.
That kind of outfit, perhaps. I don't know if there was any meaning behind that. But it also reminded me of, and I can't think whether it was something that Margot had on in The Good Life or a pinny that she had. Just that very sort of bright red, white, blue look to it, which might have just been of the time. Not really anything to do with the fact that she was French. Jean, however, at breakfast, is sat in a bikini top and a skirt.
Yeah, that was a really odd. I suppose it is Torquay, it's by the sea, but still odd that she was in a bikini.
I got asked to leave a supermarket once in Spain because I had a bikini top and shorts on, and I wasn't allowed to do my shopping.
Really?
Yeah, so
you had to abandon your car and everything.
I've not even got that far. I was told I can't come in. You can't come in with just your bikini top and your shorts on.
No less Cadbury's Fingers for you.
Nope, not that time. Not that time. So, I felt a bit resentful that she'd managed to sit and eat a cooked breakfast in Torquay.
I wasn't allowed in the Sistine Chapel because I had shorts on. Catholics, innit? They said it was...
Yeah. Why can't you appreciate it? Can't appreciate it with bare legs. What's the problem? Don't get it.
Yeah, very old school. But there you go.
So and it was a lovely outfit that she had on. But I just don't think it was suitable for breakfast, perhaps. A special mention as well to Mrs. Lloyd when she arrives. She's got like a very, very powdery pink dress coat, hat, she would have looked not out of place in the audience for the final episode of The Good Life. I'm sorry to hark back to The Good Life.
Yeah.
However, straight away when I saw her, she would have been sat amongst Liz and Phil.
Yeah.
In that live audience with the powder pink hat and dress coat on. Final special mention as well to Alan's socks in the scene where he's being massaged. They were absolutely filthy. Which just to me only told me how filthy Fawlty Towers actually is. And the bottom of his socks were just black and he was supposed to have like pristine white sports socks on. I know, yuck.
Are you not going to mention Manuel's very loud?
Oh gosh, yes, sorry.
Tie.
Of course I am. I've totally skipped by that because it's hidden away. So Manuel's got on this gorgeous. It's not navy blue. It's more like a royal blue suit.
Yeah.
And the most amazing orange and yellow psychedelic 1970s flower power tie.
It's great, isn't it?
His hair, I quite like this Manuel look. I like this, and his hair's all slicked back. He's got a moustache. I could just sort of see him now. I think that look, that Manuel look, could be transported to modern day, and you would be like a really cool hipster. I think.
Yeah, perhaps not.
A
with
really cool hipster.
Not with the hair. The hair made him look a bit.
I don't know. I think men now moustaches and slick back hair. I think that's quite a thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, I defer to you on all things fashion. You know that.
Well, I just think it's something that I've seen with regularity quite recently, and I don't think you'd think, oh, he's a bit of a hipster.
Yeah.
I don't think he's like mainstream, but I just think that look would stand the test of time, and he looked like he made so much effort as well.
Yeah. To go out with we don't know, it might have been a bunch of Spanish friends from Torquay, because as we discussed before, it was, do you know what the word for this episode is? De rigueur.
De rigueur.
You and I have said it both about 3 times, but I think it was de rigueur for lots of Spanish people or people from the continent to come and work on the south coast at that time.
Ah, right.
So he maybe had his own little community of Barcelona friends.
Yeah, that all just head out into Torquay.
But I tell you what, there are other podcasts that have covered Fawlty Towers, but I can almost guarantee it, this is the only one that has discussed Manuel as a modern dandy fashion icon.
I think he is a fashion icon. I like that look.
So, did you manage to pick out a bit of bric-a-brac for Bric-a-Brac Spotlight this week, Carl?
I did, and it was. I bet we picked the same one.
Well, I've got a reserve just in case. But
have you? Okay, well I'll go first then. It was the cassette recorder, the little cassette recorder that they played Chopin on in the reception.
Right.
Because I've got fond memories of having a cassette recorder. I remember I must have been about 4 or 5 when I was bought one, and you could play tapes on it, and I could record myself on it, and I loved it. You could put batteries in it. I could plug it in. I could take it anywhere. So for me, that transported me back to being little.
Yeah, I've got fond memories of those type of things as well. I used to record myself doing impersonations.
Yes.
And then listen back and try and refine them. Of paedophiles, of course. But,
only. That's it. Nothing else. I used to sing into mine.
Yeah, I think I did, embarrassingly. Yeah. Every now and again.
Yeah.
But they were just good fun to play with, weren't they? I mean, they weren't toys, but they were...
They were great.
Yeah.
I think it was like my first ever, like, sort of piece of electronic equipment that was mine. It wasn't something that was handed down from, like, my sister or my cousins.
Or a shared thing like that.
I had mine,
VHS or something, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good pick, I think. And actually, I didn't know that they were quite so common, that they were so de rigueur in the 70s or so early 80s.
Yes.
My one, and I don't even know if it is what I think it was, but at the start of this episode, in the bar, on the left-hand side, although it was on the right-hand side for me...
You don't even know!
There was what looked to me to be like a one-armed bandit in the bar. It could also have been a cash point, but I can't imagine Fawlty Towers had an ATM, or that even anywhere had an ATM in 1975, probably. You probably had to go and get it out over the counter, I expect.
Yeah.
But,
I didn't spot the one-armed bandit.
it was I'll tweet out the picture of this one-armed bandit that was sort of behind the major, against the wall on the left-hand side. Unless you're a Daily Motion viewer. Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll seeing as it might not even be accurate, I'll mention the other thing as well, which is as you're walking into the hotel lobby from the outside of Fawlty Towers, there's like an iron walking stick holder.
Oh, right.
On the left-hand side for you. And it looked like it was in the shape of a bear. It was like a bear with his arms sort of linked, and people had put their walking canes in it.
Oh, I bet you loved that, didn't you?
Yeah.
Were you quite jealous?
Yeah. I had visions of putting my own walking canes with all the badges lined up.
Oh, see? You'd have been in there, wouldn't you?
Be useless now. I suppose people would put umbrellas in it, perhaps.
Yeah.
But there were walking canes in this one. A brass...
I can't imagine... Sorry, go on.
No, I was just going to say, I mean, I think it was brass and I think it was a bear, but I'm willing to be corrected. Because it's just in the background, a piece of periphery, really.
Yeah. Just adding to the set. I can't imagine leaving things anywhere like that now. I can't imagine going in and can you imagine putting your walking stick somewhere and then walking off? Obviously, that just seems ridiculous anyway. Putting your walking stick somewhere, then walking off. But just leaving it, you just assume, it's just going to get robbed.
You would, yeah. Do you know what? I've never been to a restaurant posh enough or a hotel posh enough for this to have happened. But you see it in movies all the time. Valet parking, particularly in America. And they just give the keys to some random.
And then they go and park your car.
Yeah, you it could be doing anything with it. It could be doing donuts in the fucking parking lot.
And that's like a joke. That's like a joke often, isn't it? In a lot of American films where you drop your car off for valet parking and then whoever takes your keys off you just drives it 1,000,000 miles and just swerves the shit out of it everywhere.
Yeah. You probably need new brake pads, new tyres. Yeah. But there you go. I think it's just one of those things that the people with enough money don't even care about.
Don't care, do you? Just get a new one. Don't matter.
So there we go. There's our bric-a-brac for this week.
So if you're still enjoying what we're doing and you're along for the ride, you can check us out on Twitter at SADDO Podcast and on Instagram, where we post rare videos, pictures, all sorts of bits and pieces. The Facebook page you can find by searching SADDO Podcast, and you could subscribe to our newsletter by visiting our website, which is saddo.club. Here you can find lots of information about us, read our blog posts, and listen to episodes if you don't do podcast apps. There's quizzes on there as well to take part in. Have a good gander and have a good go. Get in touch with us. You can email us at saddopodcast@gmail.com and tell us all the things that you've enjoyed or that we've missed. And subscribe and leave us a review on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts from. Yeah, that would be appreciated. Next week, we've got Series 1, Episode 4 of Fawlty Towers, which I think is, in my mind at least, from memory, I can't remember last time I did watch it, but I've watched it lots of times over the years. It's The Hotel Inspectors. Oh, right. Does that ring a bell for you? I mean, that's a brilliant episode where he's constantly expecting these hotel inspectors to arrive, and the farce comes by the fact that he thinks everyone who arrives. He's assuming that everybody is the inspectors. Yes. It's not. Is it the one with Bernard Cribbins in? Oh, it might be. Yes. Yeah. Who doesn't play a very cuddly character. I like Cribbins, but he's always very cuddly, but not in this. Yeah. I think it's this one anyway. I think it's a classic. Well, there's only 12, and most of them are classics, let's be honest. They're all classics. So that's what we'll be doing next week. It'd be great if you can come and join us, tell your friends, leave us a review, do all the things that Al just said. But most importantly, we'll be back this time next week with another Fawlty Towers episode. I'll see thee. Thanks for joining us. See you soon.